Welcome back to the Sideliners Podcast. This is your number one podcast for all your new sports updates, everything with sports, and sometimes more. At this point, I'm your host, Bryce Spittler, and I'm joined by the co-host, Jerry.
How's it going, buddy?
It's going good. It's going good. We got an interesting episode for you today. We're going to talk about something that's kind of near and dear to my heart, and that is Daytona 500.
The big one.
The big one.
Big one. This is the first year that I'm really going to pay attention to NASCAR, I think. I don't know. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's the Super Bowl of NASCAR. You know, we just had the Super Bowl. But this is my Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of backwards to me with like the biggest race at the beginning of the season.
Yeah. It is weird how like the biggest race of the season, it's not even the last one. It's the first one of the season.
Well, and it's like, I don't know. It's different because, I mean, you get everybody excited with the huge opener like that, and then gets everybody excited for the season.
Yeah, absolutely.
I could see why they do it.
Yeah, down in good old Daytona, Florida. The Sunshine State. First time in Sideliners podcast history, we got our first guest.
Ooh.
It is my ex-girlfriend. A newly avid NASCAR fan, mainly because of me, I'm pretty sure. But we got my wife, Amber Spittler, formerly Amber Raber. How you doing today, honey?
Don't call me that. Yes, actually, I did start liking NASCAR because of you. I never really actually liked any sports or cared about them until I started dating you, and I found a love of sports. Some of them.
Yeah.
Some of them are trash.
This is so true. I remember the old Amber.
I've changed.
Amber used to be like, oh, I love sports ball.
Okay, I never claimed to like any of it, first of all.
And then she's like, oh, I'm dating this new guy named Bryce. And then she'd come home and she's like, I really like the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay, buddy.
Minnesota Vikings, Notre Dame, just all the same things I like.
She's going to Notre Dame games. I'm like, Amber, we couldn't even get you to go to a high school football game, let alone a college.
We're driving 5 hours to go to a football game.
What am I supposed to like when that's what he likes and that's what I was introduced to?
That's true.
Yeah, and actually NASCAR is one of those sports that's the hardest thing to really like get into.
And
like,
that's probably one of my favorites, actually.
Yeah, it's crazy how that happens. But granddaddy race of them all this weekend. It starts. Everything kind of kicks off tomorrow. You got practice qualifying leading up to Thursday is the dual races. And a lot of this, I'm sure, is you're kind of probably like, what the hell does that all mean?
I was going to ask you, we were talking earlier today, and you mentioned the dual races, and I mean, could you shed some light on that? I don't even know what that is.
So I don't even know what that is.
So the dual races are, so basically what it is they'll start by qualifying tomorrow. They'll do practice qualifying, and then you qualify, you get your position, and then you have the dual races. So there's two dual races, and it splits the field in half. So I think this season there's 40 entries, I want to say, and 36 get to race in the big race. So you have 4 cars that, you're spending. Each NASCAR to build cost about $500,000 a race. So you can imagine, like...
Dude, I would rather eat a truck tire than spend that much money on a fucking car.
Yeah, and think about that. You're spending $500,000 to get to go run, like, practice, qualifying, and a dual race, and you're not even guaranteed to, like, race.
It to the big race.
Yeah, you're not even guaranteed.
So is there... I know we're kind of getting off track here, but is there, like... If you make it into the 500... and you finish last place, do you make money from that?
So it's actually kind of funny because I was just telling, I'm pretty sure we were just talking about this the other day. So NASCAR's kind of weird with pay because there's 2 different options you can go down. So the first option is, for some of the bigger known racers, you got like Logano, Blaney, Larson, Denny Hamlin. So with them, I mean, I don't know exactly what option they choose, but I'm guessing they choose the first option where like you can choose wherever you finish, that's the prize you take home. So if you have the Daytona 500 is like the biggest prize pool. So let's say your prize pool is like $1 million for first place. If you win, obviously you take home that $1 million, but if you finish last, you're taking home like the least amount. But then they
But you
also
still make something.
yeah, I mean, you're still making money.
You do get paid.
Yes, but then
for doing
also
this.
you have your sponsors, just like anything else. You have your big sponsors, and then like the teams will make money too.
I guess I didn't think about the whole sponsor side of it.
Yeah,
They probably make more money on the sponsor side than they do.
Yeah.
Their
Oh,
races.
dude, I'll tell you a little bit about how crazy sponsors are. But the second option you have is basically you come to an agreement with your team. You basically have a base pay every race, depending on where you finish.
It's almost like a salary. You can
Yeah,
just kind of,
essentially.
you're going to make this amount of money
Yeah.
no matter what.
And a lot that is good for a lot of like the drivers who,
Don't win a lot.
yeah, that are averaging like 20th place because, maybe, but then also you think of it like you get these lower level drivers. Like one year, Trevor Bayne was a rookie and won the Daytona 500. If he chose the option where he's just making that set price, right? He just won the Daytona 500 and didn't make
If he
that
doesn't
money.
get that money,
Yeah.
Like-
but it's hard to make that decision, right? Because
Yeah,
like,
it
it's
is.
like,
because any other time he's.
I'm a
probably not gonna
rookie.
be-
This is like the biggest race. Everybody's running and gunning for this one.
Mm-hmm.
What are the odds I win?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go with the safe option and make some
Yeah.
money.
But the crazy thing is you got so there's 3 tracks. You got Daytona, Talladega, and Atlanta. Those are the 3 tracks that really like take everything out of it of like, oh, the top drive. Like it's honestly a crapshoot. Like
literally
anyone
anybody
could
can
win.
win.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like
You think that's why people like it so much?
Like I feel like
Yes.
Daytona is the track where most people will get their first win.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, Michael McDowell, that just happened to him
Yeah.
a few years back.
So, me being so new to it, they have the Daytona 500, and then do they go back to Daytona at all to race throughout the season?
Yeah, they
So
go
they
back
do.
later
Okay.
on the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think for fans love these longer tracks, they call them super speedways because of the carnage that happens.
Yeah. A
It's
bunch of drunk idiots cheering on car wrecks.
yeah.
Sounds
And
like a blast,
What
actually.
NASCAR
It
is.
sounds like a blast.
and it's the most expensive day for car owners because you spend all this money and your shit could just get
Absolutely destroyed.
yeah. And then you're out of all this money.
Crack your plastic.
Yeah.
But it's
But-
awesome.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
you get
electric.
dude, you get to that last lap
Oh my gosh.
and it's
Everyone's
wide.
just going so hard to try to win.
I mean, you're gonna
They're
see
just gunning it.
Oh,
you might see a car in the stands.
Yeah. Has that ever happened?
Yeah, I mean they have a catch fence,
Right.
but there has been cars that have got airborne and went into the catch fence.
I feel like you're the safest in like the middle of the straightaway. Like once you start getting into the turns, I feel like that's more dangerous for seating.
No, so actually the most dangerous spot at Daytona is coming in. They call it the tri-oval, which is the front straightaway. That's
Really?
and
Why-
it's so
why is-
weird.
why is
It's just
that?
like aerodynamics and like
Bunch of
everything.
gay
Like
science shit.
yeah, basically, yeah. But it's just like it. I don't even know how to describe it. Like it's just exciting because
was
you
gonna
don't
say-
really know who's gonna win.
Yeah. Well, I feel like for me, I mean, I haven't been watching that long, but I feel like the most wrecks I've seen haven't been on corners. Like it's been on the straight parts.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the opposite for dirt track. Like I don't remember if we brought it up in the past, but I worked at a dirt track speedway. And like with the sprint cars, I feel like it was always in the corners when they
Really?
were wrecking. Yeah. It's actually with like late models and stuff too. Because the person in front of them would come in maybe a little slower than they were expecting, and then they would just
Oh,
clip their
okay.
tail end and they would just spin
Yeah,
out.
they do like they do a lot of slide jobs.
Yeah.
and you're not doing that at Daytona going
No,
195 miles per hour
No.
unless you want to die.
Yeah, I guess that's true. It's definitely more of like your back end's moving a little more.
Yeah, yeah.
with dirt
But
track.
and it's actually crazy because there's so much carnage, but like the leaps and bounds that NASCAR has went with like their safety in cars
Yeah.
is astronomical. Like, could you imagine me and you just taking our vehicles out and hitting a wall head on at 195 miles per hour?
You're gonna look like Punch Lasagna.
Yeah, like
You're dead.
you're dead. Like, yeah, there's nothing left of you.
But
But like them, like yeah, they'll get some whiplash, like black eye, like a little sore, but like for the most part, I mean, they're the most safe.
well, they just did that thing in Formula Racing recently, right? Where they put the head bar in.
They have the halo, yeah.
the Halo. That's
Yeah.
right. That's what it's called.
Mhm.
Yeah, I saw that, and it like actually like saved the dude's life. They think.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's crazy what they like, just the safety features they've added to, cars, and not even NASCAR. Like you said, even F1, IndyCar, like every car is just more safer in racing.
Yeah.
And we're not, luckily we've been fortunate enough to haven't seen anything happen since Dale Earnhardt Sr.
Which is
R.I.P.
good. Which
Yeah.
is good. Rest in peace.
Yeah. Yep. February 18th, 2001, 43rd running of the Daytona 500, last lap.
Yeah, that's just really good, and it's kind of crazy. So when did NASCAR started? Like back in like officially started like back in like the
Started-
60s, 70s, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Like
it might have
officially.
been before that.
But like what I'm saying is like, okay, so you have essentially the same cars. There's been little improvements over the years, but the past 20 years, the technology since Dale Earnhardt,
Yeah.
how much different is it now in that 20?
Oh, it's
4 years.
It's not even the same car.
No.
Exactly. But like for the 40, 50 years before that is
Yeah.
like
Yeah. For reference, it started in 1948.
48.
So, but like,
On Daytona Beach.
We
On
won
Daytona
a
Beach.
world war, and they're like, you know what we need? We need some
beach
racing.
racing.
yeah, we need some racing. We need just another sport to show the world that we are just better than them.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just like now, like, so it's kind of interesting because we just got a couple years ago the next gen car, which is the car they're currently in. And it's funny because like it's so crazy. If they hit the wall head on, like it dents the hood in a little bit, but it doesn't do as much damage. But the drivers are complaining that they're getting like whiplash more. Like it's actually the impact is
Stiffer.
harder.
Stiffer. Yeah, I don't know. That's weird. What technology is different about the next gen?
Just the chassis. Like
Yeah. Because I know like with like normal automobiles, they have a crinkle section of the frame at the front. Does that translate to NASCAR, or is it something completely different?
I mean, yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it's hard to really like I've never really like studied like
The actual
the
car,
ins and outs
yeah.
of car, and obviously it's kind of hard when you're not.
I'm weird.
Like-
That's the stuff that I'm
Well,
curious
you're
about.
also a mechanic, so it's
Yeah.
different.
I mean, it would be cool to watch them like build
Yeah.
one from the ground up and
Yeah.
just see kind of the process of it.
I got another
I'm sure there's an
rabbit
episode
hole.
of how it's made.
Yeah, there you go. Go down that.
Yeah,
rabbit
how it's
hole.
made.
Yeah,
Let
search
me
that
get
up
on the History Channel or
Yeah.
whatever that's played.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like so the dual races kind of got
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's where we were. Yeah.
So the dual races they're split between two different groups, and then you can improve your qualifying position depending on where you finish in that dual race. But it's kind of a fine line because like how hard do you want to go and then junk your shit because then you got to go to a backup car if you wreck in the dual race, and nobody wants to go to a backup car.
Yeah. What are the regulations on that? Are they so you have like an inspection when you get to the raceway,
Yes.
and then that's the car you use.
Yeah.
And so say like during qualifying or the dual races, they blow an engine. Are they allowed to swap that engine, or do they just have to go to the backup?
They
car?
go to a backup car, and then you have to finish in the back of the pack. Or finish in the back of the pack. You have to start in the back of the pack. But at Daytona, that's the thing about Daytona. Like, other track position is so vital. But these super speedways, dude, it doesn't matter where you start. Like, you can start in the rear and in 5 laps be up in the front.
because you get those big straightaways. And you
Yeah,
can just
in the
take off,
drafting
or- yeah.
and stuff, it's just insane. Like, I mean, if you're in the draft with all the cars, you're going 10, 15 miles per hour faster than the cars that are not in the draft.
That's crazy.
Yeah, just aerodynamics and everything.
Yeah, it's like people when they're on road trips, they like to chill behind semis because it drafts them,
Yeah.
and they actually save gas mileage that
Yeah.
way.
Well, and that's the thing with NASCAR. Like when you're in the draft, you save gas.
Hmm.
They're not like that's the craziest thing too. Like a lot of people don't like realize unless you are watching NASCAR. But when they're going down those straightaways and you're in the draft, whoever the people that are up front, they're full throttle. But the people behind them they're half throttle.
Because they're just riding the
They're
draft.
just riding the draft.
And why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
If you know that person in front of you is going to have to pit
Yeah.
eventually anyways, why not just draft behind him for a few laps and then when
Yeah.
they go to pit, just
Yeah. And it's so funny because NASCAR's changed so much. Like it's kind of hard because like I grew up on NASCAR where it was like you were loyal to your team till the end of the race, and then it was like I don't give a shit if you're on my team. Like I'll wreck you to win.
that's
But now it's come to like like they work together as manufacturers. Like it's almost like you got Chevy, Toyota, and Ford, and it's like if you have 4 Fords up front and only one of them your teammate, they still expect you to help the other Fords, which is odd to me because it's like
it's more of like a hive mind concept instead of like an individual type
Yeah.
thing. Like
Even
they're
though it really is individual.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
individual, but it's like if I can help a Ford out, I'm gonna help them out. If I'm
Yeah.
driving a Ford,
Yeah. And it is like when you watch Daytona, like when they do like their pit cycles, like they pit, like all the Toyotas pit together, all the Fords pit together, Chevys. So then when they come back on out on the track, they have that group
They're
to
together.
together to draft and
and there's probably so much strategy behind that people don't even realize.
it's insane.
Like, dude, I mean, you look at NASCAR from the outside as like never seeing it, and you're just like, okay, yeah, they're just driving around
Bunch
and
of
like
left turns.
trying to
left
pass
turn, yeah.
people. But dude, the strategy behind all that, like, when
Yeah.
are you gonna pit? When are you gonna, try and pass somebody? All that.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's what so when you were talking earlier about sponsors.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
the craziest thing about sponsors in NASCAR, it's like so you can have somebody that's really good, right? But if they're not pulling in the money and getting the sponsors like someone else, you're not getting a ride.
It's about almost a lot of personality.
Yeah, like if you can be like get a lot of sponsors, you have a higher chance because the teams want the money, obviously.
Yeah.
And that's less money the teams have to pay to build a car every
Right.
week.
I feel like that's kind of like that translates to like other sports too, because you think about like the first thing that came to mind when you said that was like it was the UFC. Like you get a fighter that comes in who is probably a good fighter, but also they have like a very like a crazy personality, like
Mhm.
a Conor McGregor or something like that. They're gonna bring in the money
Yeah.
on a pay per view.
Oh,
like
absolutely.
Brock Lesnar is like one of the highest ones.
Yeah.
And he was good, but he wasn't like super good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and he had that fan base from the WWE
Yeah.
and everything. Like that's kind of how like yeah, if you can be like obviously all the good drivers, they got sponsors. Like they're all gonna have sponsors. But some of these like other people, like okay, for instance, in the truck series last year, there was a driver named Corey Heim, who no, not Corey Heim. I'm think that was someone else. No.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah. No, Corey Heim's amazing. No, Chandler Smith is his name, and he was in the Xfinity series, which is the level right below the Cup series. So Chandler Smith is a great driver, but he doesn't bring the sponsors that other people do. So like for instance, like last year, he made it, I believe he was in the final 8. I can't remember if he made the final 4 or not. Regardless, he had a great season, right? He's a threat to win races. This year, he was one of the last drivers. His contract was up with his team, and he was one of the last drivers. Like he barely found a ride.
That's crazy.
And it's pure talent. He's one of the best, but he doesn't have the money and the sponsors backing him. So not a lot of people wanted him.
So is that a common thing? People like moving around teams and stuff?
Oh
And-
yeah.
Yeah, it's very common.
I mean, you'll get like some of the greats, like Dale Earnhardt Sr. Like he was in the 3 car that
Forever.
forever. You get some like Jeff Gordon was the 24, Jimmy Johnson 48, like, but more and more these days, like you do get a lot of changes.
Journeyman players, just
Yeah.
or
I mean,
drivers.
Kyle
just,
Busch was in the 18 for a long time.
He was, yeah, and that's the thing. It's such a crazy thing too when people switch manufacturers.
Oh yeah, well that's got to be a change too for the driver,
But
like the difference between the brands and stuff.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, you
So-
go from like Kyle Busch. That's my favorite. But he for the longest time, it's actually funny because when he started his career, he drove for Hendricks Motorsports, which is a Chevy. Um, when he was in the lower series, he drove for Hendricks Motorsports, and then when he first got his like first break in the Cup Series, he drove for Hendricks Motorsports. Well, then he left. He was driving Chevy. He went to Toyota to Joe Gibbs Racing. Was there for a while. Then they didn't re-sign him. He went back to Chevy with Richard Childress. So it's just like, yeah, when they switch manufacturers, it's kind of crazy because it's just different.
Yeah, I guess so. So the next gen car is the same, I guess, safety standards across the board. Is that what it is, or is it like because like you say next gen car, and it's like okay, but then we still have 3 manufacturers. They're all next gen cars, but they're different in their own manufactured ways, or are they the
So
same?
before, before we got the next gen car, the other, I believe it was Gen. I think the last series was Gen. Don't quote me on this. I could be wrong. It was like Gen 5, Gen 6, somewhere in there. So the difference in when they make a new car is like safety stuff, aerodynamics, like different like chassis, body adjustments, stuff like that. But the funny thing about it's not really funny, I guess, but the new I just had a stroke while I talked. The next gen car, it's supposed to be the most. So before, like these top teams, if you had more money, you could make a better car.
Okay.
Now with the next gen car, it's all you're given the base same equipment as every single team. So
it evens the playing
it
field.
evens the playing field a little bit more.
Okay.
But obviously, skill is where you get that.
You always hear like these outlaw guys who like, and I don't even really know enough about this to even speculate, but like guys, they would like figure out how to like kind of like
Cheat,
rig
but
their
not
cars
cheat,
in a
yeah.
way that would pass the inspection standards, but was also gave them an edge on the track.
You see that in NASCAR too.
So
People
that's-
try to get a little bit of an edge, and there's a lot of times where they do
They get caught.
yeah,
and
'cause
they
they-
get fined.
yeah, they have to do an inspection before the race, and a lot of times it gets caught.
Even sometimes they catch stuff after, like
Yeah,
post inspection.
yeah, because they do post inspection too.
I mean, and those guys doing the inspections, they're world class. Like they know what they're talking.
Yeah, they don't let stuff.
Yeah,
and it's actually so last year, in the last race of, I believe it was the last race, maybe it was the second to last race before the final race. Alex Bowman, he moved on. So Joey Logano, for record, or not for record, just for telling you, he won the championship last year. It was his third championship. He was knocked out of the playoffs, and at the end of a race, so Alex Bowman, he's a 48 car for Hendricks Motorsports. He was on to the next round. He won the race, I believe, didn't he?
I can't remember.
I don't know, but in post inspection, his car was too heavy, so he got DQ'd
for being too heavy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of regulations.
So there's a minimum and a maximum.
Yep.
I wouldn't think that would go like you wouldn't get penalized for that.
Oh yeah,
because it's kind of a disadvantage, really.
Yeah.
You would think. I don't know.
Yeah, but so he got DQ'd, which then put him under the cut line for moving on to the next round of the playoffs, and put Joey Logano in.
And then he ended up winning.
And Joey Logano ended up winning.
So
the championship.
Logano was like an alternate, basically, and he got bumped up.
He was, but see, I have a tough time. Like everyone's like, "Oh, he had a Mickey Mouse championship." It's like
it's a championship with an asterisk.
He still,
yeah.
I mean, he still did what he had to do. Like he can't control that someone got DQ'd. Like that's not hit. And I'll tell you what, I'm saying this, and Amber can attest to this. I am the biggest Joey Logano hater.
Oh, me too.
I do not like
He's
Joey
a
Logano.
trash can.
I don't know this guy, but he sounds like
Yeah, he
fuck
laughs.
that guy.
He laughs like.
It's like Wario.
He's annoying. I
Does he
can't
look
stand
like
his face.
Wario?
I want to punch him.
Is he fat?
No.
No, he's skinny.
Sounds
He'd be
fat.
Waluigi.
Yeah.
Waluigi. That's even worse.
Yeah, but like, I mean, I can't stand him, and like, but I'm not going to deny that he did what he had to do.
Yeah.
It's not his
Mhm.
fault that happened.
I didn't want to see him win, but he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't. He was in that situation and he won, so
Yeah.
you can't really
I guess what's not to like about the guy? Is he just
Everything.
a douche or?
like.
I'm just a Kyle
He
Busch
just
fan,
says
so
dumb stuff. Like, this isn't safe. We shouldn't be doing this. Like,
Ah.
okay, so why are you doing it then?
Oh, we don't like people like
Yeah.
that. This guy sounds like a liberal.
Okay.
I want to wreck him. I'm not even racing, but I want to get in a car and wreck him. No, that the reason I don't like him is just because like him and Kyle Busch have a pretty big rivalry. So like I have to not like him because my guy doesn't like him.
Well, that's a dumb reason.
No, it's a very valid reason.
I think he just says stupid stuff. And I'm like, why is this guy even talking? Every interview he does, I'm like, what is he saying right now? Like, why is he saying that?
Oh, brother.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks. No, but so Sunday is the big race. Friday night you got the truck race. Saturday you got the Xfinity race, and then Sunday is the
The trucks race it. They race on the same track.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone races on the same track. It's just different levels. Of
Different
racing.
series.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and the truck guys. Now you want to see carnage?
These guys
Go watch the truck race because those guys are idiots.
didn't. Well, I don't really know if I should say his name, but
Someone we know.
yeah,
Race and truck race?
yeah.
I don't know anyone in the truck race.
Well, you do know who I'm talking about, but it's fine.
I need to know.
Tim Myers.
Oh, I only knew of him racing like dirt races.
Oh, I thought his dad like got him in.
I know
truck
Zach
racing.
races.
Maybe that's what. It was Zach raced at Wayne County.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's kind of.
I don't
besides
keep
the
up with
point.
that,
It's
so.
not really.
I don't know who that is. So
Yeah, he's a cool dude. There's a story about him. He, outside the high school, he apparently like rear-ended a car,
He did.
but he said that he told the cops he sneezed, and when he sneezed, he hit the gas pedal. Apparently, but it's like, come on, bro.
yeah,
I just remember his dad nicknamed him Hambone.
Hambone.
Every wrestling tournament, he'd be like, "Go Hambone!"
As Jessica's dad calls her brother Pork Chop.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna call.
What's up with the meats in their family? They call you Hot Dog.
Yeah, they do call me Hot Dog.
Lot of-
That's actually weird. Now you
lot
say
of-
that, I never.
A lot of
made
meat lovers in that family. That's what
Like-
I'm gonna call our daughter when she's born.
Meat
Ham
lover?
bone.
Oh, I thought you meant meat lover. I was like, what?
No, would never
I-
call my daughter that. That is
that. Yo,
that is repulsive.
I call Silas like a ball of ham loaf. I call him that sometimes. but-
Ham loaf?
Yeah, ham loaf.
Ham
What you
loaf.
doing, ham loaf?
Ham loaf. Speaking of ham loaf, Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, my boy.
Nice segue there.
Yeah, that's Jerry's guy.
Yeah,
Denny Hamlin.
yeah. I don't really know much about the guy, but he's
Yeah,
apparently I have a huge crush on him.
yeah.
So we started talking about NASCAR, and you're like, oh, Denny Hamlin, he's pretty famous. I'll just go for him.
I don't even think it was that. I just burped in the mic, but I think it was like we started talking about NASCAR. This was years ago.
Yeah, I remember. You like all of a sudden like Denny Hamlin.
And I just took a liking to him for some reason.
He's
Just
just
my
kind of
guy.
that mainstream guy.
Is he?
He's like a pretty
Oh,
well
no.
known. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm that guy.
No, he's a good racer.
I'm not bandwagoning, am I?
No.
No,
Okay.
there's a
No.
lot of people who don't like him too. So.
If you were bandwagon, you'd be more of like a Kyle Larson
Kyle
fan.
Larson. Ugh.
That checks out.
Yeah. Yeah. But Denny Hamlin is a 3-time Daytona 500 winner. So
Hey, I
But
call it how I see it.
Yeah.
He's a good racer,
well, anything can happen at Daytona though.
it is.
That's
I'm
what-
excited.
I'm picking him. He's
I'm
winning. He's
excited.
winning the 500.
That's your pick.
That's my pick.
That's your pick. 4-time winner.
Yeah, 4-time.
Oof.
It's going for the
I bet it's gonna
quad.
be someone
Quad win.
new. The
Quad win.
win.
I have a hard time. Funny thing is, I had a friend ask me a couple years ago, about he was going to bet on the Daytona 500, and he's like, "I know you're a NASCAR guy. Like, I need your help." And I'm like, "Dude, don't bet on it. I'm telling you right now,
It's just too
do
hard.
not waste your money
That's
on
like-
betting on the Daytona 500."
It's like blindly like pointing at the map.
Yeah.
It's like you don't know.
Well, okay, we did NASCAR Fantasy a few years ago.
Yeah.
And like I feel like there's races like this where it's like just impossible to pick anything because
Yeah.
like there's certain races where like road courses, there's certain guys that are gonna be really good
Yeah.
and it's easy to pick, and then other ones you're just like,
It's a crapshoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Like,
guess.
you can-
How does the NASCAR fantasy work? Do you just so you set your lineup?
Yeah. So basically, what it is every week. So it gives you everybody in NASCAR, right? And you have 10 times you could pick them throughout the season. So you have to kind of strategize.
okay.
yeah, that sucks.
And so something like Daytona, like you don't really want to use the top guys
You might as well
because
pick like one of the lower guys, right?
Yeah.
yeah, because you don't know who's gonna win.
Absolutely.
And you don't want to waste your pick on someone who could be winning in another track.
So the fantasy is almost like trying to pick who wins the race.
yeah, you get certain points for
So,
like
yeah,
where they
you put-
finish and
Yeah, you put your certain drivers in your lineup, but then there's also other things you have to like pick. Like, what was the other stuff? Like,
I can't remember what exactly.
I know I
you
can't remember.
picked.
There was like other things you could pick.
I'll
too,
pull it
like,
up here
for
because
bonus points.
I'm
Are you
doing-
guys doing fantasy this year?
I'm doing
I
it.
hated it, honestly.
Really? It's
I'm
probably
super competitive,
yeah.
and I just saw like I would pick someone and I would waste my pick on them, and they'd do super good the whole time, and the last minute they'd freaking crash or like someone would.
Oh, you
like,
fucked it.
I'm like, great.
So right here it is. That's what it is. So you pick 5 drivers, and then you put someone in your garage. So,
Oh.
Like
but
an alternate.
yeah,
Oh,
but that person
okay.
in your garage before this, so they have 2 stages in a race. Well, technically,
No.
it's 3 stages.
Yeah.
Technically, no, it's not.
What? I thought it was 3. What are you talking about right
Anyway,
now?
yeah, it's technically 3 stages, but they call it 2. But
Like-
so the first stage happens, and then when the second stage ends, you can't mess around with your fantasy lineup. But before that second stage ends, if your guy,
You can swap them in
Yeah.
and out for whoever you want.
maybe one of
Oh.
your guys got in a wreck,
So you got to kind of pay attention.
so you
Yeah.
can, yeah. And then they give you a bunch of like featured matchups, like, okay, for like the Daytona 500, the featured matchups are Joey Logano versus Denny Hamlin.
Like,
So
who
you
do you think's
pick
going to be better?
who's going to finish ahead.
Denny Hamlin all day, all day.
But it's just kind of like, I don't know. It's the Daytonas is just such a crapshoot. Like, I wouldn't pick my top guys in the Daytona
Yeah.
because
I mean, the fantasy's fun, but it just pisses me off.
so yeah, like with fantasy, like you can do have a group of people, or I mean you can do it like solo. Like I'm just doing it by myself, and then I'll join like just some random group, just to see how. But it's just I just enjoy it doing it. But we had a group of like I don't
I think it
know
was like 6 people.
6. But the bad thing is like everyone kind of like
Yeah, everyone stopped doing it.
everyone stopped doing it.
Isn't
So
that
it was
like
like
how
just
it
me and
goes?
Bryce, basically.
Like with basketball, people do that too because there's so
Yeah.
many games.
Yeah,
that people-
baseball, fantasy baseball
Oh,
too
baseball,
is bad.
yeah. Like people just
Because-
get burnt out setting their
Yeah.
lineups, so they're just like whatever.
Yeah, that's how it is. But so that's kind of like so you picking Danny Hamlin to win. That's your
Yep.
pick.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick Denny Hamlin.
All right.
My
Amber,
boy.
Amber, what are you? Who are you picking?
I'm not gonna pick anyone, honestly.
Just pick your favorite guy.
I have a couple favorites.
Yeah, but unfortunately, her favorite is someone I don't like. So
I like Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch has always been one of my favorites, but I do like Chase Elliott, which Bryce hates.
I don't hate Chase
Yes,
Elliott.
you do, dude.
I just dislike him.
As soon as I said I liked him, you're like, oh, I hate him. Yes.
Oh, Chase Elliott, that guy sucks.
Oh, he's bland. He has no personality. Like,
Yeah.
What's it matter?
Okay, so who you picking?
I don't know, man.
Chase Elliott, pick him.
Christopher Bell.
Okay, good. That's a solid pick. Well, we have another special guest here on the podcast making his debut, and he really wants to choose who he's picking for the race. We got old Jet Michael. How you doing, Jet?
Good.
Good. Are you excited that you want to be on the podcast?
You finally get to be on the podcast.
You finally get to be on the podcast.
So who are you gonna pick to win the Daytona 500?
Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch.
Boo.
Yeah. Big old Kyle Busch. That's the Spittler household.
We do like Kyle Busch.
We do
in our
like Kyle
household.
Busch, yes.
The only
Is that
bu-
your
the only-
favorite?
Jet has
Yep.
all the Kyle Busch die-cast cars.
Yep, he does. What do you like about Kyle Busch?
He's just my favorite in general.
He's just your favorite in general. What do you like about NASCAR?
The like racing and like how the cars have different numbers on them.
Okay. So you just like the cars look cool?
Yeah.
Do you like to see the different paint schemes?
Yeah.
Do you like to see a good wreck too? Is it pretty crazy when they wreck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember when this is
The
fun fact.
craziest one would be like this.
Yeah.
So there was a point in time where Jet was like
Oh yeah.
obsessed with watching videos of cars crash into buildings.
He would literally make me pull up videos on YouTube of cars crashing into buildings.
And like we would go to Target or something and he'd be like, what if we just crashed the car into the building?
You're like Googling at night. Why does my kid want to see crashes in the buildings?
Yeah.
WebMD.
absolutely.
Like you had those intrusive thoughts where like, what if I just like crashed through my garage door? And Jeff would be like, do it.
He's like encouraging it.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, what would happen?
Well,
I don't need that right now, man. Come on.
yeah, no shit. So who's Dada gonna pick to win the race? I don't know, right? Daytona's a
It's a
crapshoot.
tricky one.
But
Yeah.
I mean, essentially, I would love Kyle Busch one. It's
Well,
his
he's not gonna
20th
win.
Yeah,
He
it's his
didn't win a
20th
single race
attempt.
last year.
Yeah, first time in a long
Yeah,
time.
how long has it been?
It was like, what was it?
It was like
16
19
seasons.
Oh, I thought it was 19.
It might have
might
been
have made
19.
that
Yeah,
up.
it was 19 seasons. Yeah, it was 19 seasons. First time he hadn't won, and he's going. He's never won the Daytona 500. That's the one race
He's
that's
never
kind
won
of
the Daytona
eluded
500.
him. No,
I didn't know that.
and
The more you know.
so this is his 20th attempt to win the Daytona 500.
You think he's gonna do it, Jet? Can he do it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too bad Denny Hamlin's gonna take that from him. You
Yeah.
know? It's
Well,
really
here-
too bad.
Here's the thing: is I'm a Kyle Busch fan. I'm not even gonna pick Kyle Busch to win it. I'm actually gonna pick Todd Gilliland.
Oh,
Todd
he's an
Gilliland?
up and comer, isn't he?
He's a young guy. He's good on super speedways,
Oh, young gun.
and I think that he's gonna do it.
What if he does? And then you're like, man, I should have bet on that.
Maybe I will throw down a bet on it.
Oh.
No. Let's not get hasty here.
No, that's who I just think he does well in super speedways. So I don't know. I think he's got as good a shot as anybody. There's only one person in the field that has no shot.
Who?
And that's Cody Ware.
Chase Elliott.
I was ready for it.
No. Well, he's second. No,
Who'd you say though?
Cody Ware.
Cody Ware, yeah.
Yeah, Cody Ware. He's kind of a laughing stock of NASCAR because his dad owns Rick Ware Racing, and he just gets a ride because
Oh, so
of his
he's that
dad.
guy.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
like the
Like the coach's son.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like, the
he's
coach's son. He's playing shortstop for sure.
he's awful. I think the highest he's ever finished.
Shortstop.
Shortstop
Yeah,
pitcher.
coach's
Yeah.
son's always played shortstop.
Even if they suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the most
Shortstop
important.
is like the most important position.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what's wrong with the
Yeah, they
situation.
think that's how good they think their
This
kid
is how
is.
bad the system is, apparently.
Like,
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah,
you know, I've been looking at everybody for, you know, this whole training,
And watching you
and,
guys practice.
you know, to start out, my son's gonna be a shortstop.
yep.
All-
He's gonna lead off.
Yep, yeah, he's gonna lead off. Dude, why do people like that?
I don't know.
They just have these unrealistic like views of their kids.
Oh yeah, that's why Jet's gonna be a shortstop. That lead off.
It's like you see that
Okay,
on,
buddy.
well, no, you see that like throughout like all different like aspects of parenting too. Like they'll be talking about 1-year-olds and like, oh well, my kid, you know, is rolling
Oh,
over, or my
He's
kid's
so,
crawling.
Yeah, he's so advanced.
It's like
Yeah.
really, because when they're 5 years old, they're generally like all the same.
Right.
Yeah.
When they hit 5 years old, they're gonna be pretty equal across the
Yeah.
board.
But like Jet did have more teeth before a lot of other.
Oh my gosh,
kids.
Jet had so many teeth.
That just means he's better.
Silas rolled over early, I feel like, I wasn't there. You know, I was going to get milk, but but I think he rolled over fairly early, but then walked late.
Right. Like Jet did stuff that was advanced for his age, but also was behind in other stuff. Like every kid progresses differently. And so it's so stupid that people compare and be like, "Oh, my kid's so amazing!" Like
It's
when
the
they're all going
dumbest.
to equal out when they get in school. Like,
It's the dumbest pissing match ever.
yeah,
But speaking of that, Amber, 9 days.
9 days.
9 days.
You can get that baby out of you.
She's getting her eviction notice, dude. She's getting out.
Get
9
out.
days.
I'm done.
Gonna be that second kid.
I was talking to Bryce earlier, and I was like, "So, you guys ready to get back in the diaper era?"
Oh man, we just got out of it, dude.
Yeah.
Well, that like again, I wouldn't know, but the no sleep too.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough.
I mean, I don't sleep as it is right now, anyways. So
Yeah, like I sleep very few hours through the night, but it's the interrupted sleep that fucks with you.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like the 2 to 3 hours. It's like you would just hit that deep sleep, and then you're up again with a bottle or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Yeah, but I did like I was telling Jerry yesterday is, you know, it's the one thing I will say about having a second kid is at least we already went through it once, so like we're more prepared this time than we were the first time.
You know more of what to expect,
Yeah.
but
I mean,
there is that thing where it's like each kid's
Each
different.
kid's
Oh,
super
yeah.
different, but at least we're not going into it completely blind like we were last time.
Oh, dude, I had no
Yeah.
fucking idea
No,
what I was
You're
Well,
doing.
nobody
never
teaches you how to
ready.
be a parent.
Like, yeah,
You just
you
learn.
have to learn.
Dude, he threw up in the hospital, and I had no idea what was going. So all right, let me. So Jessica, my wife, gives birth, and it's maybe 12 hours after that, and she's obviously in severe pain. She just did all that. She's a trooper. I love you, Jessica. But Silas spits up in his little bassinet, and I'm like, "Oh, Jessica, you spit up," and I'm like, kind of like holding him, and she's like, "Well, you're the dad. Figure it out." And I was like, "Oh shit, I am the dad. What do you do?" So I'm like a jackass, like holding him like kind of upside down because like my mind went straight to like, "Oh well, he's gonna choke on it." So I'm like trying to not let him
Trying to like
choke
tip
on
him
it.
over.
Yeah,
That's how it
patting
was
his back. I'm like, "What do you do?"
when Jet was born, and obviously the first few diapers, obviously, like Amber couldn't do because she just had a C-section.
Right.
I remember the first shit Jet had was like black tar.
Yeah. it's hard.
And I remember like I'm sitting there like never changed a diaper before. And the
Yeah.
nurse is like, "Well, do you want me to show you how?" And I'm like, "I don't want to look like I'm a fucking idiot." So
who are you to tell me that I don't know how to change a diaper?
Yeah.
And then she walks out and you're like, fuck, how do I change a diaper?
and it was like the most terrifying thing ever because you don't want to look like an idiot, but you also want to be confident.
Yeah. Ah, God, that's the worst. Like I've been in that situation a few times. Like when you know like people are coming to you and like they're like, do you know how to do this?
Yeah.
And then you have to do it in front of them.
Yeah.
Dude, that's like at work.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like, dude, there's been so many, and I feel like I'm so bad under pressure. Like, if someone's watching me, I'm going to mess up.
Well, dude, it's like you do something 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And then the one time somebody's with you or somebody's watching you, you fuck it up. When I got my CDL, I had been driving truck for like 3-4 months at this point. And my boss he had to like do some business at one of the locations I was going to. So he just rode with me. And I missed a gear and had to stop on railroad tracks. And that's like a fucking huge no-no.
Dude.
It's a big no-no. And I kind of just took it as like, it was very quiet. And I started and got up going again and got off the tracks. And it was silent for a little bit. And I was like, hey, man, I know you probably don't believe me right now.
But that's never
But
happened.
I never drive like that's never happened before. And he's like, yeah, okay, buddy. But it's so true. Like under pressure, when somebody's around you, you're just bound. Like
Yeah.
because you're thinking about it. And you're
Right.
like, okay, I got to
Yeah.
do this really good. But if it was just you're in your own
Yeah.
Yeah,
confidence.
you're just like
you're not even worried
doing
about
what you
it.
do.
That was kind of a similar thing that had like when I worked the first job I had out of high school. I worked at a stone plant, and when we would like be on the machines and stuff, it was funny because something would break down, and we'd call a maintenance guy over, and the maintenance guy would come over, and it would work.
That
And then
happened to
It
me-
makes you go crazy.
Yeah.
You're like, dude, I swear this thing was fucking up.
Yeah.
Literally, that happened to me so many times when I worked before. Like, I would be like doing something, and I'm like, dude, this is not working. And then my boss would come over and immediately would work for her. I'm like, what is happening right now? Like,
And then in your
it literally
mind-
did not work. She's like, okay.
In your mind, they're like, oh my god, they think you're an idiot. You're
Yeah.
so
Right.
dumb. Like, you're just putting
I'm like,
yourself
dude, I
down.
swear I've been trying to get this to work for 20 minutes.
I got to experience that a lot when I was like being a store manager at Bob's. Like when all the sales associates would have like issues on their tablet, and I'd go over and like do the littlest thing, and it would start working, and they'd be like, "What? You didn't do anything different than I did." I'm like, I guess
I had experience like that. So when I was in the military, we were out on a range shooting. Well, I wasn't out there, but our battalion was out there, and there's people on the range. And they get a call that comes down like, "Hey, I was a weapons mechanic," and they're like, "Hey, this 249, this machine gun's down on the range. Can you send your guys up there?" So I'm like, and it's like 11:30 at night. So I go out there, and they're in the tower. They're playing House of the Rising Sun. Like it had just started. And I get out there, open up the machine gun, and I'm like, oh. In my head, I'm like, oh, I know what the issue is. I pull the barrel out, pull out like a crushed link that was in the chamber, put the barrel back in, shot like a little burst, and I'm like, all right, you guys are good. And got out of there while the song was still on. And I was like, this is fucking awesome. I was like, this is fucking awesome. It's just one of those moments where you're like, I don't know, you feel good. Like you just,
yeah.
everybody makes a big deal about it, and then you go out there and it's like a 2-second thing. And it's like,
And they're all like, what the hell?
yeah, they're like, we could have figured that out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like that's a big thing anymore nowadays, though, is like, I have this fear. Well, let me just say this. I feel like there's not as much, people don't care as much to look into things, and they just want that immediate, like, somebody else come fix this right now. Like, we're not even
Yeah.
going to try and do
Yeah.
anything. We're not going to do anything to, like, try and fix it on our own.
Yeah.
But I have this fear where it's like, nobody takes as much pride in their work anymore.
No.
So it's like, I think I was talking to you about this, Bryce, where it's like all of this generation is taking less and less pride in their work, and then more and more big mistakes are happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's what when I got promoted in Bob's and got the chance to go up to the Erie store, there was this older gentleman who the management before I got there, they just did everything for him. Well, I'm not that way. Like,
No.
I will help you and I will show you, but like you're gonna do it so you learn. So
Yeah.
he would like come up to me and be like, he'd just like hand me his tablet and be like, I need you to fix this. And I'm like, no. Like, I will show you how to
Right.
fix it, but you're gonna do it so that next time this happens, you know how to do it.
Right.
Like, I'm not just gonna, because then you're never gonna learn if you just constantly
Exactly.
having someone do it for you.
But people just want that easy, like, well, I know this person can do it, so I'm just gonna take it to them.
Yeah.
But they're never gonna learn it on their own.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, that sucks, man. That sucks.
Yeah.
So we got pretty far away from NASCAR.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. NASCAR. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, kind
I
of.
don't know, racing or some shit.
Yeah. Going back to last episode when I was talking about a piece of wood and
On the topic of wood.
yeah, and we, actually it was kind of funny because me and Amber had an argument about a railroad tie and it not being big enough to put a piece of plywood on. It
You
wouldn't
said you put a a piece of plywood on a 2x4. That is the smallest ramp I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, it might have been a
And then
railroad
you
tie.
said it was a railroad tie. It had to be like this huge, and that's not.
Dude, no, listen. We were outside earlier and Jerry has railroad ties and ask him.
I collect them.
Yeah, he's a railroad tie
You're
collector.
I
an active
collect railroad
collector.
ties.
No.
This one's mahogany.
Depending on how you put the plywood on it, you would have a good.
Okay,
Jump.
but in the episode you said you had it on a 2x4.
Okay, well, we probably stacked 37 of them. I don't know.
37 2x4s.
Yeah,
That's like at least 37 inches.
yeah, it was a big ramp.
2x4, that'd be double 37.
Well, 2x4s are actually 1.5 by 3.5. Modern 2x4s, they're
Dude,
not
did someone
actually.
fart?
No,
Yo, Bryce is beefing.
no.
Okay, anyway, sorry.
It was probably like a 16 by 4 what we used.
16 by 4. Yeah, I don't know. It was like, your common 16 by 4.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but
But-
like modern, there's comparisons online, like of like a traditional 2 by 4. I don't remember what it is, why they did that. I remember there was
I'm not
some
a wood
reason
guy.
why they did that, but
I don't know a lot
Yeah,
about
I'm
wood.
not a wood connoisseur, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
I am kind of retarded. I go down rabbit holes that I just can't come out of, and I learn about stuff that's, why does it even matter,
Useless knowledge.
Stop judging me, Amber.
All right.
So, sometimes useless knowledge is
Yeah,
good to have.
I sprinkle in some random shit in conversations. Like, people will be talking about something. I'm like, oh, yeah, did you know that blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but I feel like in every conversation, you know a little bit about what's being talked about because you know a little bit about everything.
It's like that guy. Have you ever seen that guy on TikTok, that Justin Nunley? He like will start his video out with playing someone else's video, and then it'll cut to him and be like, "Did you know?" And like he'll say some like wild fact that like nobody
so
actually
he
knows.
like sees the video and then does a little bit of research
Yeah.
or whatever, yeah.
It's-
I don't, dude, I have this weird thing, and I know I'm not the only one in the world that has this. Like, it's pretty common, but I find something that is incredibly interesting to me, and I exhaust every effort in my body to learn about that thing, and then I get bored with it, and I never fucking look at it again.
Something new will catch your eye, and you'll be like,
Something
"Ooh,
new.
well,
I have like 40 tabs on my
ooh, piece of
Google
candy."
of stuff that I want to look at. Like, I can go through. It's just random shit that I'm like, that's really like next gen. I added next gen cars to my list of stuff
You
to
do
look
some
at.
research.
Like, I'm gonna
yesterday.
like, what is different from the next gen car?
you know what? You a rabbit hole you should go down since you like want to figure stuff out.
I just like knowing how stuff works, and like, or I like knowing the history of things.
Figure out how Magic Johnson has lived with AIDS as long as he has.
Oh, dude, you know people probably like anthropologists and shit have probably looked at that. Biologists, like, that is an anomaly.
Maybe he just doesn't have it.
Probably.
Conspiracy.
That's one thing that I've never actually. Dude, my knowledge on that subject is the South Park episode of him injecting money into his blood. That's all I know about it. Which obviously isn't true, but damn, is it funny.
Yeah, South Park is. Yeah, they got some wild episodes.
So I do have a question about NASCAR. Is there, so as far as manufacturers go, is there different, do the Ford, okay, so like Chevy versus Ford versus Toyota, do they have the same like cubic inch engine, and is like the stroke the same, and or is there differences in that stuff? Or is that the next gen thing where it's like everybody's using the same crate engine,
Everyone's using the same stuff.
is the same thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, basically NASCAR has a list of all the parts that like
That are-
everyone has to use the same stuff.
Okay, so is this because I feel like I remember when I first started watching, like I feel like, so like Hendrix Motorsports, they typically had like an advantage because their cars were better. Is that
and they
like
cheat.
okay? Well, yeah, okay. No one likes Hendrix. We get it. Whatever.
Actually, there's quite a bit of people that like Hendrix.
Yeah, I
but
know.
Just not me. What was your question?
So like, like going off of what Jerry was saying, like, were they able to have differences in their cars before that you can't have with the next gen now? Or
Yes.
I was gonna say because I feel like I remember them having like way more advantages because
Yeah.
they had.
Yeah, I mean that's how it was. Like the more highly touted teams that had more money, like Hendrix, Joe Gibbs, they could put more money obviously into their cars and
Well, that's the other thing that I was going to ask too is, okay, so there's a standard across the board. When they go through inspections, if they have like a better crankshaft or a better camshaft, better valves, how are they going to know that without taking the engine apart?
oh they take
Yeah.
stuff.
They
apart.
strip it down?
Oh, dude, you should watch. That's one thing put on your list. Go watch a NASCAR inspection.
That's fucking crazy. Because that was my next question. Was like, how are they going to know if it's inside?
Oh, dude,
they strip that shit
Yeah,
down.
they
dude,
check everything.
I don't
they
know
check
if I would like
everything.
that though. Like as a racer or as a team, like you put that you have a
What
certain.
you're worried they're gonna like put it back wrong? Or
I mean,
something?
now-
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like you have a certain mechanic in your garage that builds your engines.
Yeah,
Or
but
a select group of
they're not
guys.
like they're not stripping down an engine. Like it's not
Okay.
like where they're like taking it apart in a million
Piece by
pieces and like,
piece.
but like
Okay.
you should watch the inspection and see how
gonna-
They're very
detailed
thorough.
they
I'm gonna
are
add that to my
on the
list.
inspection.
Because that is interesting. Because like kind of what I was saying is like you have a mechanic who puts that shit together
Yeah.
that you trust and have trusted for how many years, and then you have like these inspection guys. Like, how do you know that they're going to torque it to what you want it to be torqued at for a certain bolt
Well,
or
don't
suspension components? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
don't they get to like put the stuff back together when the
Yeah,
inspection's
but
over?
it also too is like every track has different packages. So like they show up to like every race has a different horsepower package to how much horsepower you're allowed to have
Do they
in your
dyno
car.
the cars?
Yeah, I mean they do, yeah, everything. And
Okay.
for instance, like okay, like Bristol. Bristol is a half a mile track. It's small, right? And let me look up what the
It's just-
horsepower.
It's very interesting to me because there's so many parameters that could get overlooked. Which I know that they've like kind of refined it and they know what they're doing, but like there's so many things to look at. How do you know? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
It's
that's what I
interesting.
was
and
saying,
like
like-
tires, suspension, all of that stuff.
Well,
Which I know that they've kind of like found like, hey, like this is this tire that we use. But like, what if they have like? I guess what my kind of like where I'm getting at is like, where do the good drivers get their advantage? Is it just skill or
Yeah.
is it
at this point, yes.
It's,
It
it's
is-
pure skill.
strictly skill is where they
Yeah.
gain their advantage?
I mean, yeah, that's what I was bringing up about Hendrix before, like because they were a really big team that had a lot of money, and their cars were typically better than other people's cars, so they did have an advantage. When
Okay.
Now you see those drivers not doing as well as they did in the past.
Gotcha.
At least what I've noticed, anyways.
Right, because they're taking away their ability to enhance their cars
Right.
in ways that other people couldn't afford to do.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it definitely has even the playing field.
Yeah. Yeah. Where did they find the like pit crew? Like, where is it? Just NASCAR drivers that didn't make it, or is it?
So
You have to go to school for that. It's like
no. So
what?
no, you don't have to go to school.
Well,
Actually,
there is a school.
there
for it.
is-
There is a school for. I think there is a school for. I think I saw that somewhere.
There's a lot of ex-athletes
I was gonna say.
on a pit crew.
Oh,
Yeah.
you did. We talked about this a while
Yeah.
ago,
Yeah.
and you did mention that.
Yeah.
Like football players.
You
are
have
big.
because
to
you
be
have to be
super athletic.
Oh, dude.
Oh, I
I
believe
mean,
it.
it's insane.
Yeah, and especially if you're the gas guy, dude. Those gas canisters are like
A couple 100 pounds. Right?
they're like 250 pounds,
Yeah.
and you have to, you're lugging it over your shoulder, and everything you do has to be precise and fast.
yeah.
like that can
Good
win.
agility.
Yeah.
Dexterity's big.
That can win
yeah.
you or lose.
strength.
I actually it's weird, but I actually kind of like watching pit stops because
Yeah.
I mean
Well,
they're
it's incredible.
insane. Yeah.
It's incredible what
Yeah.
those people can do that
Yeah.
fast.
Dude, it can lose you a race and win you a race.
Yeah.
The pit crew can.
I
alone-
I truly believe that.
Oh yeah.
And don't
Well,
they did contests, didn't they?
Yeah, they do during All Star Weekend.
Yeah.
They do like
They'll do a
pit crew
contest of like
contest.
who has the fastest pit. Like
We kind of did that. So I went to a vocational school my last 2 years of high school, and I took truck mechanics, and there was an auto mechanics, and we had like a competition
Competition.
between each other, like who can rotate these tires faster, or who can do like just all kinds of different stuff, and
Right.
like we did all kinds of stuff. But that's kind of what it reminds me of. Is like
yeah.
I'm kind of competitive too. I don't get as upset about it, but I'm very competitive.
Yeah.
But they changed to like a one lug nut setup.
Yes.
Recently,
it is one.
right?
Like that used to be 5.
Yeah.
Now it's in actual Truck Series and Xfinity Series still has
The 5 lug.
the 5, and actually that's so interesting too because like they actually put glue on those. So like when they put the tire up,
They glue
those
the
lug nuts are on there already, so that it's
Yeah.
just
It gives you the screw it in. Yeah.
Yep. I
And-
saw that. They glue them to the actual wheel of the
Yeah.
car, and then when they put it on, they can just break
Yeah.
the glue loose and tighten
Yeah.
it down.
But yeah, the Cup Series has it's one lug nut now.
And I noticed there was one thing. The guys were painting the lugs.
Yeah,
They were painting patterns on the lugs. What is the purpose of
vision.
that? Just vision,
So when
knowing
'cause
where they're
you
at.
think of that like when you're coming, like everything has to be so quick. So like the fastest pit stop in NASCAR history is like 8 seconds, right? So that's
four tires,
4 tires,
fuel.
fuel, and that's not even like sometimes they make track bar adjustments. Like you got to tear off sometime. Like there's a lot going on in a pit stop that you don't realize. 8
Dude.
seconds.
It's intense.
And that's like, so you think about it, that's why they paint them, because when you're coming in, right? Cars coming in, every track, it differs on speed limit on pit. But like, let's just say average 50 miles per hour, right? They're coming in and they're stopping on a dime because they're trying to get into their box as fast as they
Yeah.
can. So like they get in there, you don't have time to like sit there and
Figure out where
let
it
me see
is.
what, okay, this, no, it's put the
Immediate.
tire on and you go.
Yeah, that's crazy. Do they have do you know what kind of brakes they have? Is it drum? It's got to be disc brakes, right? I don't know. Like that's
I
very
don't-
interesting.
I'm not sure.
Well, and then like the other thing is like, Sal's calling my name. If they have like normal like hydraulic brakes, like fluid brakes, for the car to be moving that fast and stop like that, it's
Yeah.
pretty crazy.
Well, you should see some of these like tracks. Like, okay,
Oh,
for
yeah.
instance, like Bristol. Like Bristol is a half-mile track or a quarter-mile. I don't know. I've been drinking a little bit, so I can't remember. But like, dude, night races, you can see their brakes
Oh, yeah.
glowing red
Yeah.
I believe
because
that.
of like, I mean,
I believe it.
Like
and their brakes,
sparks flying, everything. It's
it's very rare
Yeah.
that brakes fail.
Yeah, well, and then the material that the brake pads are made out of too, like ceramic or composite or whatever it is, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
I bet you there's like some crazy formula that's designed specifically
yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, well, I used to see that when I worked at the Speedway. I worked turn 4, and when you would see the cars coming around, the actual hubs of the cars and the brakes and stuff, they would be glowing red
yeah.
Mhm. Oh,
from
yeah.
just the constant
Yeah.
application of the
Mhm.
brakes,
Yeah.
which is fucking crazy. Because you would think that would like warp the material, and it would be kind of useless after that race.
Yeah.
Maybe it is. I don't know.
Yeah. See, in NASCAR, they have to use the same car for like a few different races. Like the engine, like they have to.
But there's so
use-
many parts that I feel like are expendable.
Well, yeah, there is.
Yeah, there is.
Like I feel like after a race like that, you would want to change your oil, get fresh brakes, stuff like that. Like
Yeah. Some of
'cause
the
brakes only
engines-
last so much. You know?
Yeah, that stuff they can't. But like, as far as like the chassis and engine, like they have to reuse those for other races.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, it's kind of crazy because like, okay, so if you win the Daytona 500, you don't get your car. Your car stays at the track.
Yeah, they keep it.
They keep it.
as like a
and then
part of
you,
a museum,
you
or?
get it. You'll get it back the next year.
Oh, okay, it just goes
So-
on display.
Yeah,
Okay,
basically.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
That kind of sucks though for the winner,
yeah,
because that like okay, that's your car for the season,
yeah.
or potentially your car for the season.
Well,
Well,
I mean,
they'll
they
take
have
the motor
multiple-
out
yeah.
and stuff, but like
Oh,
as
they
far
leave
as
the
like
shell.
the shell, yeah, you don't get that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's not so bad then.
Yeah. But I'm gonna put down a make sure to go follow us on Facebook,
Yeah.
Facebook, Instagram. I made an Instagram. Haven't really posted too much on it, but
Well, maybe we can take like a picture of this episode. Maybe.
yeah, absolutely.
We're in my basement and I'm remodeling my bathroom, so it's kind of a mess. But
Yeah. Make sure you go follow us on those. I'm thinking about starting TikTok.
yeah, I think it'd be. I mean, it's cool. You guys can kind
Yeah.
of connect with us and
Yeah,
watch what we're doing. I guess. I don't
yeah.
know.
I'm gonna start a TikTok.
It's really gonna
No.
kick off in the spring though.
Oh yeah,
Go out golfing.
yeah. There's gonna
all
be
that
a lot more
cornhole.
baseball. Yeah, but I'm gonna put a poll on Facebook. Who you think's gonna win the Daytona 500?
Yeah.
Also, let us know. So this was the first time we've had a guest on. Let us know. If you know anybody else that I know me and Jerry have been talking. There's a couple people we
Oh yeah.
we think we could get a spicy podcast out of, but let us know who you guys want to see on here.
Or anything you want them to talk about.
Yeah, anything you guys want us to talk about too. Like,
Oh, dude, I mean, you guys know I dive into everything.
yeah, like
So
we
I'm down
we
to
want
talk
to
about anything.
we want to talk about sports, but also there's a lot other things we want to talk about too.
Yeah.
We're open to anything. So if you guys have anything, you want us to talk about, let us know.
And I had a blast, Amber.
I
Yeah.
had a blast on here, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
This was fun.
It
I
was.
liked having you on. This is cool.
I feel
Yeah.
like I bring some spice to it.
I feel like you don't.
I feel like I bring some spice to
I want to be famous.
I'm gonna call you a Spice Girl. But I think, that's gonna be it for episode 4. Good little another hour podcast. Give you guys these longer episodes. Thanks again to Amber for coming on. It was fun.
Thanks for having me.
And maybe you guys will tune into the Daytona 500. But until next time, we'll see you guys later.